Welcome, Wizards! It's your favorite penguin, Xeadas, and I'm bringing a new Spitball after way too long. You may have seen recently that I have been playing Wizard101 again. It's a really nostalgic and fun comfort game for this birdie. But I've noticed in the last two sets of spells, and at the time of writing those being the Selenopolis and Darkmoor sets, that they both are rooted in real-world concepts of magic. The Egyptian Gods Selenopolis set and the Major Arcana of the Tarot set for Darkmoor. This initially struck me as a fun nod, since the first set, the Selenopolis set, didn't have Ra, so it's evening the amount of Egyptian gods all the schools got. But then we got the second set, and it just pushed me into thinking of a theory that grew into my Spitball. So I think this may be fairly solid when I explain it. After so many failed ones, without any repetitive quests and repetitive talks back and forth, Wizards, let's jump in. So, I got two pieces of evidence, but the second piece builds off the first one. So hopefully, makes it a bit easier to understand and easier to explain if I go logically than jump around. And like you'll know I do, I prefer to seed my first evidence and then explain it a bit further down. So that's what we're going to do. The theming. I called out the Egyptian gods of Selenopolis, which is gods. And then you have the Major Arcana of the Darkmoor set. Tarot. The Major Arcana of the Tarot. So, what do these two have in common? They're both connected to what we assume is real-world magic through pagans. I'm not going into history lesson on pagans. I am not that kind of channel. However, I do like to point out you have gods and the tarot. Both things that are from our world, Earth. As well as you start Arc 5 and finish Arc 4, you are repeatedly called the Earthbound Wizard, as it's really hit home. As it's not really mentioned outside of one who isn't from the Spiral or the Divine Paradox in game. You just aren't really called directly Earthborn. So, could we see them trying to pull more Earth-related magic, more, pagan mystics? Which then will lead into my second bit of evidence on how these all tie in. Now, don't forget, I still got my second piece of evidence, and this one will help reinforce the first. Theming. We notice that it's very uniform, very making everything even. And in the first set, Balance didn't get an Egyptian God card. However, they already had one. They got Chameleon Clash because they already had Raw. They get that at level 52, 56. It's their 8-pip spell. Well, okay, so we can hand rave it. But then you have Mortality in the Arcana Tarot set, Darkmoor. Well, that could be explained by mortality is just the concept of life and death. You can't have a card named The Death or just Death in a still supposed to be kids game. So they skated around that with mortality. I would have loved to see a different name, but I feel like that one works best. And we're gonna just hand wave it aside. Just scoot it off. Now, give me just a little bit to explain, please. With both of these being concepts of real-world magic, and let's say most people already knew that, what is this Spitball really about? Well, I think I may know the next, if not a future set coming. And maybe even predict the world it's gonna be in. Give me a chance to say it. With real-world magic, there is only 2 with an asterisk, things I can think of associated with mysticism in paganism left. Crystals and incense. Including in the incense, this is where that asterisk is, it's herbs as well. Now, what really got me thinking was noticing in the other 2 sets, something already existed, which means all I have to look at is for either a incense or a crystal, or a gem in the case of crystals. That's explained in a second. With incense, I couldn't find anything that really fit with things like dragon blood, frankincense, myrrh. But with the crystals and, that got me thinking, we have one. The only issue is it's not for the right school. In the balance school, we have Jade, Oni, Crystal. That's the only gem spell in the entire game that I was able to find. There's no Onyx, there's no Ruby, there's no Sapphire, none of the other class stones, no other major quartzes or crystals, only Jade in the form of spells that we can get as players. So let's say it's crystals. How would this work? Well, Jade Oni's under balance. But with the Arcana, they showed that every school got one that properly represented it, and swaying that they couldn't use death and had to use mortality to circumvent it, we may just see them give another Jade spell to life. Maybe. So I don't fail at the Spitball. But another thing I've noticed is both Darkmoor and Selenopolis were shoot-offs initially of other worlds. Selenopolis came off of Crocotopia, and the first time you go to Darkmoor in the story, really the only time prior to this update, was through Wizard City for the Kid Davasi during Arc 2. Maybe post Arc 2, depending on how you want to look at it. So, seeing 2 Arc 1 worlds, could we see a return to my arguably favorite world, Dragonspire? I'm still mad that they left that tiny dragon there. I want to go there and pet him. I want to take him with me, and he's not in a darn horde pack. But, when you think about it, Crystalmancy was native to Dragonspire. Crystals, gems. If we were to go back there, maybe we find a way to intermingle that Crystalmancy, which is supposedly a really strong school, into our magic to give us crystal spells for our main schools. Maybe have them reference Arc 1 spells or something from Dragonspire. But they'd be crystals. Maybe they're used as a focusing iris through another event. But one other thing I've noticed, and this is a personal gripe, Dragonspire is the only Arc 1 world to not receive something after Arc 1. You have Wizard City having the drains and the waterworks. Crocotopia and Mushu share the temple of Kimbulong, whatever, I think that's it. And Selenopolis for Crocotopia. With Marleybone, you had Azteca shoot off of it technically, as well as Barkingham Palace later. So then you have Mushu, which again shares an old one. Dragonspire doesn't really have anything that builds off of it. So could we see that? If it's not it, it's probably going to be Valencia though. Looking at it, they usually have a world referenced, and then a whole new world that we've heard of before, but really never dived into. I don't think we'll honestly go back to Dragonspire, but I would love it. Dragonspire is my favorite Arc 1 world. I'd love to see them do something with the Draconian race more. It's a very interesting story they kind of didn't let us see more of. But that's enough for the repetitive quests. Cliff notes, real world magic methods could be the theming for Arc 5 Wizard 101. And I am spitballing and maybe predicting that the next set will be crystals or gems of some kind. And possibly us returning to Dragonspire because of that. But this has been your favorite Ice Wizard Xeadas. Passing my turn to you. And please let me hear your ideas and theories down below. And on your way, please throw me a like and a subscribe, please. Or if you decide you hate me or hate penguins or whatever you may hate, share this with somebody you also hate. Till next time, I'm tired and I'm signing off. Have a great day.